episode 253.
Yes, we work on cars. We get you on the road and we can do your brakes or your switch out your transmission, and that's all fine and dandy. But when you get that personal connection with a mother or a grandmother or a expectant father, and you put that car seat in and they look at you and you're all done, they give you a handshake and they say, "Man, that was awesome. I really enjoyed learning from you. You had so much knowledge." You can take a lot of pride in that, and I thrive on that.
Welcome, aftermarketers, to Remarkable Results Radio. Listen to learn just one thing from today's episode on your journey to remarkable results. Hey there, automotive aftermarket professionals. Carm Capriato here. So enjoying bringing you these smart and very transparent interviews so you can engage on a personal level with every story. Hey, you're in episode 253 with Steve Bullins and Scott Buckley from Buckley's Personalized Driver Care. This episode is brought to you by Federal Mogul Motor Parts and Garage Gurus. For serious technical training and support, online, on-site, and on demand, Garage Gurus is everything you need to know. Find out more at fmgaragegurus.com. Hey, another reason you enjoy the podcast is when you need to check out the pre-written talking points and read the extended bio on my guests. The quick link for this episode with Scott and Steve is remarkableresults.biz/E253. Hey, I've never been so proud of the aftermarket professionals who have given so much in their personal interview. Now the industry is coming together with the Town Hall Academy. Yes, your colleagues paying it forward with their passion on a single subject. We call it the Academy, and it's becoming a very hot ticket to obtain wisdom, insights, and ideas on the topic of the week. Now, if you miss an Academy done live on Fridays at noon Eastern, you can use the power of our on-demand content and either watch the video replay or listen to the repurposed audio podcast. Now, to get your hands on these powerful educational seminars, go to remarkableresults.biz/academy. These seminars are just what the doctor ordered. It's presented in an open discussion forum that's so easy to absorb. Hey, a big high five to new Facebook friends Chris Hurley, Tim Lanier, and Tanner Brandt, and new LinkedIn connections Clint White, Darian Damron, and Marco Verschoit. Welcome, everyone. And if you want to become more of an insider, get connected. I've got one convenient place for you to go, remarkableresults.biz/social. Every possible connection is waiting there for you, along with a link to download the free Remarkable Results Radio app. Now let's listen to Scott Buckley and Steve Bullins. I met Scott and Steve in Detroit in May 2017. We were there to learn from the ASA Connected Cars event. Scott is the son of Greg Buckley, who has been a regular on the podcast. Steve Bullins will become Greg's son-in-law in September 2017. Now let me say that this is one great interview with two millennials who will change your paradigm of this generation. We talked on a wide array of subjects, and it's refreshing to hear the thoughts and wisdom coming from our industry's future. I believe you'll agree that they're thinking large and smart about the future and the opportunities in front of them. Steve is a tech at the shop, and Scott is a software business analyst. Scott helps his dad, Greg, in the family business and is a perfect fit for the software solutions we face each day. In this episode, we are debunking the millennial stereotype. Don't miss that conversation. We're also talking social posting, having a young apprentice at the shop, and I mean very young, the power of DVI, and the importance of showing your customers the value of the latest technology that's on their vehicles. As Buckley's goes through a change in their service commitment to become a personalized driver care center for their customers, you'll hear the excitement in Steve and Scott about this new strategy. By the way, I so enjoy interviewing our industry's future and sharing with you the cultivation of our industry's youngest members who are on track to be difference makers of their very own. Now the interview with Steve Bullins and Scott Buckley. Hey, a warm welcome to Steve Bullins and Scott Buckley from Buckley's Personalized Driver Care. Boy, it used to call it Buckley's Auto Care, but now it's Buckley's Personalized Driver Care. How you doing, Steve?
Good. How about you, Carm?
Good. I'm great. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Carm.
I remember meeting both of you in Detroit. We were at the ASA Connected Cars, and Greg Buckley, Scott, your dad, and Steve, your future father-in-law, How cool is that? Now we have Countdown to Wedding, and I think we'll talk about that. But I met you guys you were really into the seminar. You had a great chance as two young millennials to get inside of what's going on with all this cool new technology that's coming out. What do you think of it?
Definitely different going out there, and I had a lot of fun. Learned a lot between learning about what's coming out with the Volkswagens and, between that and how driver assist, and you got the Bosch all in there, and it's all that.
A couple of us were talking about it was great to see some millennials hanging out and having an opportunity to really help set the future for whatever roles in business that you guys are going to have. Now, I know, Steve, you work for your future father-in-law at Buckley's, and Scott, you don't. But you're very much involved in the family business because you're family, but you're also in the tech side of the world. And Dad said, a while back, hey, son, rock on, man, do what you want to do. And it's all about tech for you.
I decided pretty early on to take kind of a path down the realm of computers, and had an interest in that from an early age. So I'm sure, like most people in the auto industry, it's whatever bug catches you first early on. So I decided to take that route for my career path, and it's been working out so far.
That's interesting. A bug. That is really cool that you say that, because that's what happens. People just get bugs. Steve, did you ever have a bug to be a technician?
My career path has been this, that, and the other. I've done everything. I went to a vocational school in Delaware, Del Castle, and went for electrical trades to learn how to be an electrician. I did that for a little while, and then from there, I saw guys getting laid off and didn't really want to put a family. I didn't have a family at that time, obviously, but I didn't want to put them through that. So then I went to college, and I got my degree in criminal justice with a specialization in law enforcement. I'd always worked on my own cars, so I've always been kind of a mechanical. I like building things. I like taking things apart. And Greg, kind of invited me to come to the shop and work on cars as I will say part-time. And it turned into, I really loved doing it, and I enjoyed the people I was working with and what I was doing. And it's progressed from there, and I've only grown more and more.
Well, you're going to be the son-in-law soon.
Correct.
Were you at the shop before you met Greg's daughter?
Way before. We've been together for about 7.5 years. And I've been working at Buckley's for three and some change.
So take me back to the day that Greg said, hey, why don't you come to work for me?
We were sitting in the living room, and we're sitting on the couch, and Greg looks over, and he's on his computer in his shorts and his T-shirt. And he goes, hey, Steve. And I go, hey, yeah, what's up, Greg? And he goes, how, you work on your own cars, right? I say, yeah, me and my dad, I've learned a lot from my dad and all that. I don't like having people touch my car if necessary. He goes, how'd you feel about working at the shop and, kind of doing that when you're not working at Best Buy, which is what I was doing to put myself through college? And I said, yeah, it sounds cool. Sounds, something to do. I'll check it out. We went up there, and that was all she wrote. They say that you'll never work a day if you love what you're doing, and I'm loving what I'm doing.
Excellent. And so for Scott, having grown up in a family business, I did, by the way, so I can so relate to you as a, SOB, son of boss. And so you chose the path that got you interested in tech. How often does your dad pick up the phone and say, hey, we've got some stuff going on here with technology in the shop, and what was going on with all those breaches, those technology breaches? How do you view what's going on in the world of the automotive aftermarket from a tech perspective?
Well, it's interesting to see where things are going. From my point of view, I like to try and view these new cars mainly as computers with wheels and gears, rather than the other way around, how it's kind of been, where it's mainly, gas motor and plenty of gears with some computers in there to help fine tune a couple of things. So now you have to take a completely different approach to the car, from more a digital security first type of standpoint. Basically, you have to look at these cars as really something that you can't just take apart and put back together in the same manner anymore. You're going to have to do a lot of reprogramming, recalibrating, security checks, things like that.
Well said. You love to solve problems. Is that what you do on the computer end of your job?
Essentially, yes. So I took the route more of a business analyst. So I'm kind of like the middleman in what I do in terms of software development. So I'll be the guy that sits between the stakeholders of a project and the actual developers. I'll talk to really everyone and get an idea of what they want to do, and then I'll be able to translate everything and lay it out in clear requirements of how things should be built and get the developers to go ahead and build that.
I want to tell you something. I did that for a while in my world. I know exactly what you do. It's a great job because you get a chance to play inside the bits and the bytes and the tech and the geeks in the back office in the dark room, and you have a chance to hang out with the business people and help them solve their problems and bridge that gap.
Exactly. So I get to learn. I've been through a few different jobs doing this kind of thing, so I've learned a few different things within different industries so far. So it's nice to be in that kind of role. It's kind of adaptable between different business lines. And I like that aspect of it because I always like trying to learn something new.
Let me just say this. If you ever do join the business, what a great asset you'll be. I've done so many great interviews with shop owners that they never turn a wrench, but they run a great, great business. I believe you would agree that being a top tech is real hard work. Keeping up is a full-time gig, considering vehicle technology, repair procedures, and diagnostics. It's refreshing to know that Federal Mogul Motor Parts' Garage Guru is there for you. It's been designed by and for technicians, the best in the industry. And did you know there's no other comprehensive program like this anywhere? A big part of the program is the nationwide network of Guru's on-site training and technology centers. There, you can get your hands dirty with the equipment and tools you use every day in real work-related situations. When online is your perfect way to learn, do it with Guru's 24/7 online academy with a huge catalog of training course options. And with the Guru's on-the-go technology fleet, they bring the latest products and demos right to your shop. And this year, you get free stuff from the Garage Rewards loyalty program. You earn points towards gear from your favorite Federal Mogul Motor Parts' brands. And what is really great, it costs nothing to join, and you'll start earning points immediately. So head on over to fmgaragegurus.com and learn all about Garage Gurus training, support, and get in on the rewards. Brake jobs are a staple component of all successful shops, and getting the brake job right helps build a quality reputation for any shop. When the best is called for and stopping distance, rotor wear, and pad life are important to every shop and its customers, Wagner OEX brake pads are your only choice. Based on benchmark testing conducted by Link Engineering Company, Wagner OEX pads can stop a pickup, SUV, or CUV up to 50 feet sooner. Based on internal testing comparing new Wagner OEX to other Wagner offerings, the unique design of Wagner OEX increases pad life up to 2 times longer. The customized shape and slot design of each of the more than 114 SKUs creates a turbulent airflow that allows for cooler operation and improved stopping power for the vehicle on which it was designed. Wagner OEX cover 95% of the U.S. market of pickups, SUVs, and CUVs. Wagner has the science behind stopping perfected. They conduct 13,000 critical tests each year, and as of today, have 258 issued patents with 68 patents pending. Wagner has earned their stripes. Now they want to earn yours. Install Wagner OEX, the customized brake pad that can stop your customer's truck up to 50 feet sooner. When we were in Detroit, guys, Steve, I think you said to me, we're too dependent on being independent. I'm going to have a Town Hall Academy on that subject, by the way, in the near future. What did you mean by that?
Going there and going, because it was all independent shop owners as far as I knew, with a couple big, Napa and some big companies like that. But I just think it seems like a lot of shops are against working with the OEs or even the dealers and that kind of thing, because they are against working with us. But if we all kind of could somehow manage to broker a deal, we could get a lot more done and help our industry grow and become more translucent, I guess would be the word.
Or transparent.
All right, transparent. There you go. That's what I was looking for.
I'll sell you that word for $25. No problem. I understand what you mean, and I know ASA is doing an awful lot with the Automotive Alliance to bridge that gap, which was a direct result of VW being there and GM being at that meeting in Detroit. And there's a lot more of that going on. So great and very astute observation from a millennial. You know, I'd love to talk about being a millennial because there has been so much talk in our industry about how we sell millennials, how we hire millennials. You guys are both millennials. Do you agree with that?
I do.
Yeah. We're classified as millennials, but we differ from a lot of the stereotype of a millennial.
Okay, well then let's go down the list and see how you differ. You're supposed to be tech savvy and dependent.
Well,
That's true.
yeah, it's true.
How about being entrepreneurial?
I came up with a couple ideas while we were in Detroit that I don't want to give out yet. I got to work that out, but yeah, I mean, I think everybody at a certain point wants to set out and kind of leave their mark on the world. And that's a good way to do it, is come up with something new, something that people can use. And if you make money doing it, that's, even better.
Yeah. I have no problem doing that. I would just say that for me personally, I'm very calculated, very critically thinking type of person. So if I have some idea that I think could work, I will try and analyze it as far down the path as I could go. So it's like, for me, if I don't have something that just doesn't exist at all, like it pretty much has to be complete nothing, which is really hard these days. It feels like everything has been invented. Then for me, I won't even try to.
Okay, so maybe everything's been invented, but like you said, Steve, I had an idea. Ooh, and I got to develop it. Everything may be invented, but ideas are kind of almost available to you at any time. And Jack Welch, former chairman of GE, said there's no new ideas. You just steal it shamelessly from someone, adapt it, and make it your own. You kind of agree with that?
Yeah, either that or make it better. If you can make a better product, why wouldn't the customer want the better version of whatever was out?
Another millennial trait is to do meaningful work. Does that mean something to you?
Definitely. One of my biggest drivers of you introduced Buckley's as no longer Buckley's Auto Care. That's because we're going more towards safety and driver education, and I've kind of taken the lead as far as the car seat safety kind of technician, but working on cars too, because yes, we work on cars. We get you on the road and we can do your brakes or switch out your transmission, and that's all fine and dandy. But when you get that personal connection with a mother or a grandmother or expectant father, and you put that car seat in and they look at you and you're all done, they give you a handshake and they say, man, that was awesome. I really enjoyed learning from you. You had so much knowledge. You can take a lot of pride in that, and I thrive on that.
Glad to hear it, man. Meaningful work, Scott?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. My line of work, it's nice to, after months and months of preparation and back and forth with all of our team, it's nice to put out a deliverable product that people use, and maybe software, but gets things done for people. So
software is just so amazing, and you could make it so smart. In fact, software can be as smart as you make it.
Exactly.
Are you guys experience obsessed? You want to experience and crave memorable moments in both your professional and your personal lives all the time?
I wouldn't say obsessed. I mean, if it happens, it happens for me. I don't chase that kind of stuff. My personal philosophy, something I took on early on, is, one of my first bosses, they said, you work to live, not live to work per se. So I try to really just go with the flow. And even in my career, like I know what things that I want to do, but wherever that takes me, then it takes me up or over, around whatever kind of path I want to go down. So I don't chase specific things like that for work or personal. I know things like that will happen, so I just choose to kind of absorb that as I go. Maybe
that means that you're always on the smartphone, seeing what's going on, taking your picture and posting it. Is that what those memorable moments are about?
No, I like keeping in touch with people like that, but no, I'm not always about posting photos like that and such.
How about you, Steve?
I look forward to experiences. I mean, life ain't worth living unless you got some memories, you know? And that could be anything from, I mean, just Sunday, me and my father, we went out and mountain bikes for a couple hours in the morning and then got a sandwich down on Main Street. Or it could be, you know, going to work and you did your first head gasket. I'm not saying it has to be this crazy big thing, but there's certain points that'll stick out to you forever, you know, when you finish it.
You know, the reason we're doing this is, again, there's been so much discussion on hiring millennials and selling to millennials. I just wanted your both opinions on these particular traits. And there's one more, being a visual learner. You know, you have also a short attention span. Is that possible with you guys?
Well, I mean, I've always been a hands-on guy. I can read, you know, I read all the time. I read articles about this, that, and the other. I think you need to be well-rounded, but if I'm doing something in the shop, yeah, I want my hands on it. That's the best way I learn. My biggest way is you watch, you ask questions, and then you do it. Yeah. And then that's a combination of watching and then you're physically doing it yourself with maybe, you know, when you're young, maybe somebody looking over you.
What about that short attention span? Like, oh, there's a flash of light. Oh, got to chase it.
I stay pretty focused, especially at work. I get absorbed in what I do. And that follows a lot of the things I do in my life, between hobbies and anything like that. I wouldn't say I get distracted very easily.
Scott, what about you? I mean, I find it so interesting to be, you know, a software developer, if you will, with what you do, building projects. Do you chase the next new idea, or do you stay focused?
It's not about short attention span per se, in that it's just that in my realm, there are like 5-6 different things going on. So like Steve and you guys have a chance to just work on one car at a time, essentially, and get that job done and move on to the next one. It's not exactly the same case. So it's not about short attention span. It's really more about multitasking factor.
Okay.
And that you have to kind of keep attention to all the different things that you got kind of juggled with. So I can't necessarily deep dive all the time into something that I'm working on.
I thank you so much for sharing this. And I know every millennial is different. I mean, I have 2 millennials, my children, and everybody's slightly different. And it's unfortunate that, you know, they're almost kind of put in a little box somewhere and says, oh, these are what millennials are like. And thanks for sharing. Great insights. And especially you guys are automotive people. So you were telling me that you've got an apprentice at the shop. I think that's exciting.
A 16-year-old, green as green can be.
Wow, 16. You know, I ask a lot of shop owners, grow your own, and they say, yeah, we grow our own. But, well, that thing is just a seed at 16, right?
Yeah, that is the definition of grow your own. He, like I said, he's green as green can be.
All right, so tell me, any automotive experience? Is he going to high school for it?
He's going to a technical high school in Delaware for it. They've taught him a few things. I inquire. I came from, I coached lacrosse at my old high school before I started working at Buckley. So I'm pretty good with, you know, like high school age teaching and knowing how to teach and that kind of thing. So I think that's partially why Greg paired him with me. Plus, being the youngest besides him at 26, maybe he can relate to me a little bit more than, you know, our 2 other techs that are a little bit older.
I find it interesting that you're going to be able to watch 16 turn to 17, turn to 18, and wherever he goes. I mean, you really have a chance to assess the kind of education that he's getting and assess what he's learning from you and see how well he progresses.
It's definitely interesting seeing the way that the struggles that are going on in different schools and how they're trying to manage that, and asking him questions and getting his insight as a student. He's supposed to be one of the best of his class. So he's like a good baseline to base it off of. You know, he's supposed to know the most and come in with the most background knowledge, all that kind of stuff.
So Steve, how far away is the wedding?
About a month and a half, September 23rd.
Are you excited, Scott, to have a brother-in-law?
Definitely. So I don't think I could, I don't want to say imagined, if that sounds weird. I don't know. Anyone better. So
I guess I'm doing something right then.
Regarding Buckley's, and, you know, maybe it's not fair that Greg's not on the phone, but what's the learning culture there? What are you guys doing to stay up and stay current?
Man, we are always focused on knowledge and gaining knowledge. A big part of it, believe it or not, is our master tech, Tony. That man is one of the most driven people I've ever met in my life. He has a hunger for knowledge that I don't think can be quenched, and it's almost infectious when he gets going. And I like to pair up with him, and he's got 30 plus years of experience. So, if he's willing to teach me, I'm more than willing to learn. And we went out to Detroit, and obviously, we met you there, and we're getting ready to do a thing in Philly on October, I think it's 15th or 16th. They're doing another training up there. We constantly go to the Napa trainings that they hold in our area. I mean, we, between that, doing any kind of reading online or anything really we can get our hands on.
Scott, your dad and of course your future father-in-law and your boss, Steve, has been on the podcast a bunch of times, and he's so well known in the industry, very passionate marketer, smart businessman. Scott, when you think back, what did your dad teach you that, just comes right off the top of your mind that was just some great lifelong lesson?
It's not as much that I learned a lot from him per se. I just got a lot affirmed from him and what he does. So in some of my own career route, I've previously worked at the Apple store. So he always encouraged working that, doing a lot of customer service things. So growing up and starting my work career in a lot of customer service based jobs and, just kind of paying attention to what he does, we always kind of align a lot on things that he does with marketing. So it's more like a common sense type of deal with what he does. So when he does something, it doesn't necessarily strike me as new per se, as much as just like it's common. It's like common sense for me almost. So I see it as a positive because I hold a high level of customer service and marketing for myself and what I see around me. So when I see what he's doing, it's, it seems like it's second nature. Like, oh yeah, I would totally do that. But again, I see it as a positive that he's out there doing that.
Are you a lot like your dad?
If you know both of us, you'd probably say there's a good amount of similarities.
Okay.
Yes. What I was going to say was to tie back to the customer service piece and the marketing, is to tie that to kind of a millennial thing. Is I think a lot of millennials aren't in this age of sharing and always being on the internet and always being connected. I feel like we're almost oversharing sometimes, and we're getting a little too personal. And then your job, this job that your dream job, you got out of college and I can't wait to get it. And then they go on your Facebook and they see all the things that you do, or, maybe they're frowning upon it. Maybe you didn't want to post that online. I feel like because you are marketing yourself with everything that you post on the internet, whether or not you think about it like that, that's how it is.
So it's your online resume.
Definitely. Yeah. When you apply, sometimes I know that some employers are actually asking for your usernames now, and they're going to look. And someday when you start hiring people to work for you at Buckley's, you're going to look. It's a useful tool.
I would look to see what's there publicly, but I wouldn't dig too far, and I wouldn't judge too many people based on, what's on their Facebook. Like if it's something, it's just harmless, like crazy drunk college pictures, some fun statuses, whatever. You got some quote unquote bad words sprinkled. I'm not going to judge you upon that. I judge you based on your resume and your work history. You're there to do a job, and if you do your job and you don't bring any of that crazy personal stuff in, then I have no problem.
You bring up a great point, Scott. We all were young once. I remember me in college. I remember me in 20s and then 30s. And I remember the changes that people go through. And they mature. They sometimes regret certain things that maybe they had done. And I think to your point, Scott, it's more public today than it had been in the past. It's not, you can't see the resume of the fraternity party, and we were all toast, and oh my God, people were posting and putting my picture on it. And will that be good for the resume? I guess if you're sitting across from an employer and you pass all the tests, drug tests and everything, and you're a qualified candidate. Okay, so he was 20 once. Remember when you were 20 once? So yeah, it's a great point. Great point.
Yeah, so I don't care what you do off the clock, just don't bring it on the clock.
What about systems inside the business? Are you guys doing digital vehicle inspections now?
We dabbled at first to I was kind of the test pilot, being the youngest and the most tech savvy, of course. And then it kind of went full fledged about a year and a half ago. And now there's not a single car that comes in our shop that does not get a full digital vehicle inspection. And it has been one of the best tools that we've ever bought into.
Now, Scott, have you had a chance to see that in action?
A bit, but I also kind of helped set up some of the infrastructure.
Okay, great. Well, that's kind of where I was driving. As a software guy, what do you think of what DVI means to these to shops today?
It's definitely an important tool for clarity in customer service and accuracy for what's getting done. It's something that is very important to help keep your shop organized. You can also throw another C in there for cover your ass. So you take pictures and inspections of everything that you see and or hear and record it so that if the customer has any future issues or complaints, you have everything on record. And also for your service writer, it allows them to have a dashboard and see what's going on, what's going in, what's going out, what's stalled, and to help, move those types of things along.
Do you guys see technology impacting the business even in a bigger degree in the next 5-10 years?
Of course. I mean, these cars are only getting smarter and smarter, and if you're not ready, they're coming whether or not you're ready.
Well, I knew you'd say yes to that. So my follow-up is, how do you see it changing? I mean, what do you see coming out? What do you see your customers adapting to? What do you see you guys doing to implement and keep pace?
I think the first thing is you to kind of piggyback on what Greg talks about a lot is informing the customer. I mean, when you back in the, let's say the 90s, because that's when me and Scott grew up. You had your Wrangler or whatever you were driving, and it had a cassette player and didn't even have OBD2 if it was pre-95. But now you're getting cars that these customers don't even know it's got a camera in the windshield, or it's got radar or LiDAR in the backup sensors. And if any of that goes down, you start losing these quote unquote essential pieces like your cruise control. Because customers are coming in with the cruise control. Hey, my cruise control is not working. What's going on? Well, your camera's malfunctioning, and then you get, I have a camera in my car.
So really bringing the insights and sharing, I guess customers really want to know what's going on, but they don't know what to ask. They don't know what they don't know, right?
Exactly.
The problem is the car companies market it as like one thing, when in reality, that total system is like 5. It's completely separate, very sensitive pieces of tech that are in the car.
To kind of tie it back with the DVI, that will allow you to be more transparent with what you're doing, and that will only help bridge that gap with those pictures or that video, and that will allow the customer and your shop to build a trust.
It's almost like a perpetual training for your customer. You send them a picture of a rotor that's worn, or a suspension part that's loose, a leaking shock. They would take your word for it in the old days and say, yeah, go ahead and fix it. It's a safety issue. But now they actually have a chance to see what that means. It's almost like, that X-ray through the car that allows them to really see what's going on. So they're in this constant training mode. So the next time they may need a process like that, bing, it almost pings them. They learn from the last set of pictures, the last circumstance.
Yeah, the last inspection. That's one of the best parts about that DVI is we have ours set up to do, we have 3 sections. It's good, where obviously it's self-explanatory. Then you have needs future attention, what you were just talking about, things that maybe next time they get taken care of, and then needs immediate attention. And, we can file and pick and do whatever we want to do in between that.
So you're millennials. I'm not belaboring the point, but I want to talk about ride sharing. How do you see it? How do you see the future of ride sharing?
Yeah, I see what they're trying to do is they're really trying to get everything automated with the ride sharing. So I don't see a problem with the service. There's a market for it. Obviously, it's taken off like a rocket. It gives people a chance. You can make side money. Chances are you're going to get in better cars than some random taxi, and you're not going to try and get screwed out of extra fare. You're going to get taking the most direct route that's programmed. Well, I don't say programmed, but essentially given from the centralized point from HQ. Still can only get better with some automation. I think just overall, it's better than the current taxi system that we have.
Put your thinking cap on, guys. It's you're 50 years old now. It's 30 years out. You don't own a car because now you can just go to your app on your little glass, whatever device.
By then, it'll be implanted into your skull.
That's right. You'll press a button. And will you not own a vehicle, but you will summon what you want when you want to go to the beach and you want to go to dinner? I mean, do you see you growing up in this technology spurge in 30 years, accepting the fact that you will be always ride sharing?
See, it was interesting that when you said ride sharing, I was interested to see what Scott said, and he went more towards like Lyft and Uber and things like that. I thought of a article that I had read about how millennials, how they don't see the value in owning a vehicle. So that's going to present new challenges for businesses in the automotive industry as far as, all right, well, everyone harps on car count. Well, now we've just lost a percentage of the vehicles that are on the road because a percentage doesn't own them anymore. I get it. I like calling Uber when we were in Detroit and we wanted to go hit a restaurant. I like it when it's Halloween and you want to go out to the bars and bar hop. Personally, I like owning my own vehicle. I think I'll always be like that. Like I said, I see the benefit of not owning one because then the repair bill for yourself, I'm saying if you're just a customer, the repair bill, the upkeep, the maintenance costs, all that kind of dissipates and goes away. I see the draw, but I value owning a vehicle.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to happen where you're going to see complete like rideshare take over. Maybe in a dense city, and that's where these viewpoints come from. They come from these microcosms of very large cities, which can support this kind of thing because people live in there. Everything's in their bubble. They can go in their bubble. But they forget about the rest of America, which has very, very long distances to travel and also appreciates the freedoms of owning their own car and generally could. And it's less cost of living and they could own any kind of vehicle that they want. Therefore, I don't think you're going to really see this whole ride sharing takeover. If anything, it's just going to take over the taxi industry completely. That's about it. You're not going to see an entire infrastructure change to just, automated and or general ride-sharing Uber-esque type of situations.
Very smart and intuitive, Scott. We put out an episode 247 with Derek Kaufman, and we talked just about that. There was a report that came out of the San Francisco Bay Area that there's going to be 44 million cars left 2030. There's 270 million now. And he kind of accepted a few of the premises in the report. We had a great discussion, and he did his own math and realized that it was going to be very difficult. And then one of the things I said to Derek, I says, you live on a farm. I says, you need your F-150, don't you? He goes, gotta have my truck. I don't care if it sits in the garage. I need it. How do you take your boat to the water? And, so, yeah, I know life is going to be different and technology is going to have a big grip. And I'm glad from your perspective, you got a lot of years left. You've got this whole world, this whole oyster out there for you guys. And love to hear what you guys are thinking. That's great. Now, what's the best piece of advice you guys have ever gotten in your very young lives?
Probably my father when I was probably about 17, 18. Getting ready to go into the real world, get out of high school, and it'd probably be a tie between you're going to miss high school because as you get older, you miss high school, or it had to be no matter what you do, no matter how you do it, make sure anything that you do is worth overdoing because your name is going to be on whatever you're doing, whether it be programming software or fixing a car or whatever you want to do. Your name's on it. And at the end of the day, you need to take pride in your name.
Good answer. How about you, Scott?
I mentioned it earlier. Probably the work where you work to live, not live to work, has stuck with me, because the way I interpreted that is learn to set up like good boundaries for yourself to have a good work-life balance. Because if you have a balance there, everything else you'll be able to handle balancing, even if it's micro balancing at work or at home. If you were able to set up macro boundaries, you'll be able to set up those micro boundaries, if you will, much easier and keep everything in line.
Guys, this question goes out to both of you. What purchase of $100 or less has most positively impacted your life in the last 6 months?
It was Greg and Patty's anniversary. And me and Kelly, as a thank you for the support that we've been given. You know, we bought we own a house together. We're getting married this year. We wanted to do them a nice gesture, and we paid for their anniversary dinner without them knowing. We called, paid, left tip, all that. It always feels really good to give back to somebody who gives so much. And Greg's got a big heart, and that was the last 6 months. That was definitely number one for me. I really enjoyed seeing him.
How nice. Does Greg know that it cost you less than $100 though? Where'd you guys go, to McDonald's?
No, he picked the restaurant. I was willing to pay whatever it was, but he went to an awesome car. If you're in Delaware, Luigi's.
I know. I'm coming just for that. What about you, Scott?
My wife and I got each other these, they call it Qualo rings. Basically, they are silicone wedding bands. So the reason we got those is we decided to really try and lose a lot of weight together. So they're complete silicone. So they're stretchy, they're lightweight. So they're great for working out. So when we go running or we go to the gym, we can keep these on. And it's, obviously a reminder of your marriage, but also it's just a reminder of the weight loss kind of journey we've taken together. So we've both lost pretty considerable amounts of weight. So it's not over yet. We're still going. So it's nice to, look down and see these, and they were like $20 a piece. So
excellent stuff. One final question, and I think I lied before. I may have said that was the final question, but I'm wrong. If you had a request of my audience, what would you say to them right now?
Don't think of every quote unquote millennial as a millennial, because as Carm said, we're all different. We all come from different backgrounds. Yes, there are a lot of people that fall into the negative connotation of being a millennial, but I think a lot of us are so driven by that negativity that we don't want to become that. And we want to be a great employee, a great person, and we're very driven. That would be my input on that.
Yeah, I really can only echo that statement of honestly, it's just, don't judge us based on a label, because we're not coming into any job interviews trying to judge you with a label. We want to apply at these companies for a reason. There's something good about it. So we're trying to come in with a positive, and we don't want to be necessarily met with a negative at the door.
And soon here comes Generation Z, and we'll forget all about millennials.
Exactly.
And you'll be hiring.
Exactly. We'll be the ones making the assumptions.
You'll be in charge. I know. Absolutely. Hey, I had so much fun. Guys, you guys are smart. You got your stuff together. Come from a great family, the Buckley family. Scott Buckley, of course, Greg's son and future son-in-law, Steve Bullins. Getting married in September, huh, man?
We're almost there. It's been a road, been dieting all year, and I'm ready to let loose and have some fun and do some dancing.
Hey, thanks for being on the podcast, guys.
Thank you, Carm. It was a great experience.
Appreciate you having us.
Hey, thank you, Scott Buckley and Steve Bullins. Your relaxed and honest look at our industry from your vantage as young people looking into the future. Appreciate that. Now, I hope Father and Father-in-law Greg Buckley will be proud of the interview. I know I am. I do want to thank Greg for setting up the recording equipment for the guys. If you ever watch Greg Buckley's Chop Soup live Sundays on Facebook, we did the recording from Greg's personal studio. Now, find Steve and Scott's extended bios in the show notes at remarkableresults.biz/E253. Hey, exciting news. Apex TV did an interview with me, and you need to catch it. Go to apextv.com and catch the interview. I'll be at Apex 2017 with my podcast studio in the Sands Expo lobby next to the Let's Tech stage. So please stop by and say hi. Now, everything you could possibly want to know about the show and the powerful content is on my homepage. Stop by remarkableresults.biz and spend a few moments and explore. And please share this content-rich resource with your friend. I'm grateful and thankful for your support.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time,